Right now at 4, a difficult and emotional afternoon underway here in Georgia. The procession is set to begin any moment for Cobb County Deputy Marshal Irvin Jr. You're looking live at Westridge Church in Dallas, Georgia, where a funeral service for Irvin just wrapped up.
Chopper 46 giving us a bird's eye view of the dozens of law enforcement agencies lining up to bring Irvin's body to the funeral home. The procession, it's a symbol that a fallen brother in blue will never be alone. And here's a map of that procession route. It starts at the church on Hiram-Ackworth Highway. The procession will then head east on Dallas Highway before heading south on Ernest Barrett Parkway. The procession will end at Mays Ward Dobbins Funeral Home. That's in Marietta. This is the second day of mourning for Cobb County law enforcement and really law enforcement around the region.
Yeah, a big region that is too, Sean. Yesterday, Irvin's partner, Deputy Jonathan Koleski, was laid to rest. The two were killed as they were just doing their jobs, trying to serve an arrest warrant at a home near Marietta last week. Investigators say they were trying to arrest a man when his roommate reportedly opened fire, killing both deputies. Losing a loved one, all of a sudden, it's heartbreaking, but losing a loved one who gave his life protecting the community is a different kind of hurt.
CBS 46's Adam Murphy live along the procession route near Dallas. That's about 30 miles northwest of Atlanta. Adam, you spoke to folks out there, complete strangers who are there to pay their respects.
Well, good afternoon, guys. There are a lot of people that have gathered out here. I'm live on Dallas Highway here in Paulding County near Lost Mountain Church, and you can see the row of people here. They pulled off to the side of the road. They've got their American flags. You'll also notice right over Dallas Highway, both the Cobb County and Paulding County fire departments jointly have hoisted the American flag above the highway in honor of Cobb County Deputy Marshal Irvin Jr. Now, the procession will pass through this area in the next few minutes. I can tell you a short time ago, the funeral concluded inside West Ridge Church, and we have a little bit of footage of that. It's important to point out that out of respect for the family during this difficult time, the service was streamed online so that we could give them the space they need. And also, just moments ago, I caught up with a close family friend of the Irvins who had this to share.
Jody and Marshall and the girls were probably one of the best families I ever had to work with. Jody was always in the classroom. She was my homeroom mom when May was in 3rd grade, and of course if Marshall was off, he was always coming around the school also. You know, I go to church with him, and I wasn't able to go to the service today because I wanted to leave it for family and the law enforcement, so I thought this was the best place for me to come and show my respect. Since I heard this last week, I have cried more tears. More tears. I didn't even know I had that many tears, but for this family to go through this will always, it's just hard to put into words. And to see so many people stop their day to come and pay their respect for someone who put their life on the line for us. It's nice to see.
It is certainly heartwarming. Back out here live on Dallas Highway, you can see it's been a great honor for many in this community to be here for this moment and pay their final respects here along Dallas Highway. It looks like the traffic may have come to a stop here on this side of Dallas Highway, and if that's the case, that's a sign this procession will be headed our direction any minute now. We'll have live coverage of that, but again, we want to make it clear we felt it was important to kind of keep our distance to give the family the time and space that they need during this tough time. We're live this afternoon here in Paulding County. Adam Murphy, CBS 46 News.
Adam, thank you. And of course, we are nearing the end of a very long day of mourning that started this morning. Before the procession, there was a funeral service for Deputy Irvin, which the family chose to stream online, as Adam mentioned.
Yeah, too hurt to speak. Irvin's wife, Jody, she wrote a letter for the funeral coordinator to read. Take a listen.
His family was everything to him, his extended family as well. But we always talked about the 4 Irvs. That was it. Me, him, and the kids. We would do anything as long as we were together. The world is a better place for having Marshall in it. He was a light. He was an old soul. He was beautiful, perfect. He was a wonderful man.
Irvin leaves behind Jody and their 2 children. Here's a photo of the family together. During the eulogies, his colleagues talked about Irving being a prankster. He even loved fishing. In an especially emotional moment, one of Irving's colleagues thanked the law enforcement who responded to the scene last Thursday night.
It wasn't 2 guys out there that afternoon, it was 4, but it was a whole team. So please understand that this loss is impacting us in ways I can't comprehend right now. If you were there that day, in any capacity, from our brothers in blue, from our EMTs, 911, CSI, anyone that was there that day, please stand to be recognized as heroes right now.
As you just heard, the deputy was extremely loved. Our Chopper 46 is now hovering above the procession. It is en route. They have wrapped up the funeral service at West Ridge Church in Dallas. We do have some details about the procession route. And if you are planning to line Dallas Highway there, as you see, many people, hundreds, have lined up to show respect, waving the American flag, showing solemn respect for an officer who lost his life in the line of duty.
Yeah, solemn's the right word, Sean. It's one of those things where you're out there and what you hear is just the gentle hum of those police cruisers driving by, obviously very quiet, people paying their respects. Just the natural sound of being out there. It's just kind of eerily quiet as people think about the ultimate sacrifice that Deputy Marshal Irvin Jr. and his partner Jonathan Koleski paid protecting and serving this community. And yesterday I was along the parade, or the procession route on 575 North, and the traffic going the opposite direction on the highway stopped. And you usually see that for traffic backups, but in this case it was to pay their respects to Jonathan Koleski. You're going to see a lot of that this afternoon as well. And people got out of their vehicles, Sean. They took their hats off, and that was about 45-minute stoppage in the middle of these people's afternoon, because a lot of those people yesterday along the highway, that was impromptu. They didn't know about that procession, and then when they saw it, they knew immediately what it was. And certainly another similar scene today for Jonathan Koleski's partner, Marshal Irving Jr.
If you are watching us live right now, if you're just joining us, we are witnessing the procession for the fallen Deputy Marshal Irving Jr. The funeral services had just wrapped up at Lost Mountain Church in Paulding County. They're along the procession route. We heard from our own Adam Murphy that there are American flags hoisted up in the air, draped over the highway to honor the Cobb County deputy. The procession route is along Hiram Ackworth Highway. It's going to begin east on Dallas Highway. If we can pull up that map, we'll kind of give you some perspective of where it's headed before heading south on Ernest Barrett Parkway. The procession will then end at Mays Ward Dobbins Funeral Home in Marietta, where the fallen officer will be finally laid to rest. We're expecting there to be a 21-gun salute. There will be taps, presentation of flags, and of course you are encouraged to watch this both on air and online. Out of respect for the family, we did allow them to have their privacy at the funeral. We only showed the service online at cbs46.com, also on our app, but the procession we're showing because one, folks want to see it. They want to also pay their respects for the fallen deputy, Marshal Irving Jr., clearly loved in the community. If you're not familiar with the story, the 38-year-old passed away Thursday, September 8th. He was serving a warrant along with his partner in Marietta when they were accosted by the roommate of a suspect that they had arrested for a warrant, and both were tragically killed. Marshall is survived by his wife, Jody Irvin. She's of Dallas, Georgia. She was so, and understandably, if you've lost someone sudden and you understand the path and the journey that she's about to embark on, this is extremely difficult. And she was so shaken that she chose not to even speak at her own husband's funeral. She provided a statement that the funeral home read, sharing the love of the family, their daughters, Maylay Irvin and Courtly Irvin. He's survived by his sister and a brother. We're going to go to Adam Murphy. Adam, you're along the parade route, along the procession route. You have talked to complete strangers who have lined Dallas Highway to pay their respects and let Cobb County's Sheriff's Department know that they appreciate this gentleman, they appreciate that the service that he provided to his community, and paying respects that they've lost an officer in the line of duty.
Well, good afternoon, guys. That's right. You can see, look, the first set of law enforcement vehicles making their way here down Dallas Highway. And yes, there are hundreds of people out here that have lined the streets. In fact, I want to bring you back around real quick. I found family that's here. How are you today?
I'm good.
Tell me your name, ma'am.
Karen.
Karen, this is important for you to be here. Can you tell everybody why?
They are true heroes. They deserve this, and my heart just has been tugged at ever since this happened. I had to be here for the families. It was just something I couldn't miss.
Yeah, and to be here and pay that final respect to this fallen officer is important, and it's important for this community. He did so much.
He did. So selfless act, and just the courage of these men every day and the families that are missing their loved ones. It's just heartbreaking.
The loss is great, but is it heartwarming to see so many people? I mean, look down this direction, everyone.
Yeah.
Look over here. I'll have Eric kind of show you the number of people that have lined. This is heartwarming.
I'm so touched. Yes, I'm so glad to see this turnout for the family. It's wonderful.
All right, guys, thank you so much. I appreciate you sharing that with us. We're going to get set up here so that we can show you the procession. It should be arriving at our location right here on Dallas Highway, right near Lost Mountain Church, any minute now. And it is really something to see, guys.
It certainly is, Adam. I know that you've spoken to complete strangers. We're watching the the procession route from Chopper 46 as it goes down the highway here in Hiram Ackworth Highway in Dallas. They're also going to eventually head east on Dallas Highway, where Adam's location is, before heading south on Ernest Barrett Parkway. The procession will end at Mays Ward Dobbins Funeral Home in Marietta.
Yeah, and as I mentioned earlier, you know, the end of a long day, really, of mourning. This is the end of this procession, and it will go to Deputy Marshal Irvin's final resting place. And yeah, just a few thoughts there, Sean. Looking at Adam's shot, a lot of families out there, right? Certainly
it really
seen
is.
A lot of young children getting an idea of what it means to protect and serve in the community. And really, these processions, it's the least that we can do as a community to come out to both, from our part, cover it, but also for all these people. You know, this officer and his partner gave their lives serving and protecting this community, and really just to take a few hours out of their day to let, you know, law enforcement in general, and of course the family of these deputies, know that they have support from a large group of people.
And to give you just some perspective of why so many people have come out to pay their respect for Deputy Marshal Irving Jr., he's a hometown boy. He's a hometown hero. He attended East Paulding High School. That's where he met his wife, Jody, before they both graduated in 2002. He became a deputy with the Cobb County Sheriff's Office in 2012. We heard at the actual funeral where friends and family spoke passionately about his love for playing the guitar. He was a fisherman. But the most important thing to Deputy Marshal Irving Jr. was not just protecting and serving the community in Cobb County, but it was his family. He spent a lot of time with his daughters, who we heard from friends and family who said they were his everything. He was a loving husband, and he's a father who's going to be truly missed.
A girl dad, you know, you mentioned it. When you're a girl dad, you know, your girls mean everything to you, and I'm sure that, you know, his girls will, you know, they'll grow up without him because of this really completely unnecessary situation unfolding the way it did. And you mentioned that was exactly what I wanted to say. Small town, Georgia boy. You know, you do the math. Marshal Irving Jr. was 38 years old. He met his wife in high school. They've been together for more than half their lives.
Right.
It will be difficult for her and their family to move forward without him, certainly. But you can see that the family that they have around them, wrapping their arms around that family and around law enforcement as they suffer this loss. Really just an emotional day, and a second straight emotional day.
We have, and What we've seen countless times whenever there is an officer lost in the line of duty, along the procession route, you will see multiple jurisdictions, many different law enforcement agencies, not only from Georgia, but also from out of state, who join the procession route to pay their honors. This is a live image of the hearse that is carrying Deputy Marshal Irving Jr. to his final resting place. This is where our Adam Murphy is along the route on Dallas Highway. You can see the American flag that's hoisted right above Poplar Springs Drive, and the long line of cars who are slowly proceeding to his final resting place. And of course, you have strangers, the community, and friends and family of Deputy Marshal Irving Jr. paying their respects, waving the American flag, showing tremendous amount of respect for this fallen officer.
And we're going to continue to follow this procession throughout the hour, certainly as Deputy Marshal Irvin Jr. makes his way to his final resting place and these people pay their respects. We are going to move forward right now, and we'll be checking in again throughout the hour. It's all about keeping our community safe. We were the first to tell you relief on the way for Metro Atlanta.